Hello and welcome to the No Speed Limits podcast. We still haven't decided how often we're going to do this, so I can't say weekly, monthly, whatever it's going to be.
It's very
But
inconsistent.
welcome to episode 2 anyways. I am Reed Racer, still that really cheesy name that I know you guys all probably hate. Again, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, at Hot Wheels Tournaments. I'm here again, of course, with my co-host, John Racer, who owns John Racer 3 YouTube channel.
How's it going, everybody?
And the John Racer 3 Instagram.
That is also
That's all
me.
cool. Anyways, we are here live this week from the Matchbox Convention. It's basically a 3-day event full of die-cast cars. We buy them, we trade them, we sell them, we auction them. We get to see brand new ones that are going to be released at a Matchbox presentation. All kinds of cool stuff. It's super fun. We get to meet all our friends and fellow collectors. And we are here with one this week, our friend Ezra. You can find him at Instagram at EzraBman1. He's going to be our guest, so it's very cool. Anyways, we are just back from the Matchbox presentation for the 2020 year. We got to see all their new models, all their lineups, all the cars they got coming. Super cool. It was super dope, honestly, if you want like a very general opinion. But we're going to be talking about that basically the majority of this episode. We don't really have any other news to talk about. It's been kind of slow. Few super treasure hunts announced, but we don't really care because we're here for Matchbox and there's some dope stuff coming. Anyways, let's get right into it.
Ezra, tell us about yourself first off.
Oh, yeah, Ezra.
Of course.
Let's get a little bio.
Sure. So I've been collecting Matchbox my whole life, and I've expanded into other brands since then. I do all types of diecast. You name it, I do it. There's no brand I really don't do. I really do like the realistic models. Here's the point, Matchbox. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've gone to the Matchbox gathering for 4 years now. This is my 4th gathering, and I love it so much. A lot of great people here. I love seeing all my friends here, like John Reed. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about all of what has just happened on the stage because today was super crazy in the Matchbox world. And I know Ezra and Reed are going to be bouncing off each other. So full disclosure here, we're going to get into some serious car talk. So if you love talking about cars, Matchbox, real life, all of that stuff, make sure you get yourself some popcorn, grab yourself a water, stay hydrated. And let's just start talking about this. So let's talk about this morning. We did...
No, we're going to talk about the new models. I'm going to cut you off right now.
Right.
No one cares what we bought. No one cares what we did. Everyone wants to talk about the new models because honestly, that's kind of the news of the week. It's kind of the biggest piece of summer news that comes out for diecast. Matchbox is really returning to stores. Outside of like when Hot Wheels announces all their stuff, this is like kind of the biggest dump of like information you'll get because Matchbox announces all of their new models. I believe there's 25 this year.
Yes,
it's
there are.
25. 22 are licensed, 3 are unlicensed. Absolutely crazy. Some bomb models announced. So I think we're just going to kind of go through. We'll talk about some of them. We obviously won't have time to talk all of them. If we talked all of them, we'd be here for days. Anyways, I'll start with the one. I'd say what car stood out to you, but I know the same car stood out to me and Ezra, or Ezra and I. Don't tell me. The 2016 Alfa Romeo Giulia. This is one we've been asking for years. It was the number one car collectors wanted to see on the Matchbox poll last year. So Ezra, just first glance, what are your thoughts? What do you think? How excited are you for this car?
Oh, well, I am crazy hyped for it. The Alpha's been, ever since the real car came out, I've always wanted it as a Matchbox, and I didn't want it as a Hot Wheels. We all know the Matchbox sculpting is usually a little better in terms of detail, sculpting, etc. So to see Matchbox come out with it, I was really happy about. On top of that, I'm really happy that they're just doing a straight civilian car. Matchbox is notorious for sometimes doing a police car, which is fine. That's Matchbox's style, but I personally am more of a stock car guy, like I mentioned earlier. From first glance, even though it is only in the 3D printed stage, I do really think that they're off to a good start.
Yeah, because this is definitely one it's one of those cars that's got Matchbox written all over it. It's kind of that sports car, street car style, which Matchbox does so well. We've seen them do it with the BMW 1M, the Jaguar F-Type, countless times. And then Alfa Romeo has always lent itself better, personally, I think, to Matchbox than Hot Wheels. Matchbox, you look at their record, they got the older Giulia. I think it's 1970, I want to say.
Yes.
Am I correct on that? Yeah. The 4C was absolutely fantastic. Hot Wheels doesn't really have a history with Alfa Romeo. The most recent one I can think of is the 8C, which was okay. The 8C is a weird-looking car to begin with. And the Hot Wheels version was all right. It looked a little off.
Big rear wheel.
Yeah, and that's how the 8C is built in real life, but even in Hot Wheels, it was just too exaggerated.
Yeah.
So this was just one that, like, we've been asking for and waiting for, and to finally see it. You can go watch, probably it's on John's video, it's probably on a live stream somewhere. When they announce it, you'll hear 2 people yell. That's me and Ezra. We were hyped for this thing. And then just talking what he has, the resin, right now it's 3D model stage, and a lot can change between the 3D model and the actual casting being produced itself. But it looks, just looking at it, they've got the stance right. It looks very stock. It looks very appropriate. I'm really hoping they do it in red. I know you mentioned white.
Yeah, white.
But yeah, red or white are the 2 classic alpha colors, I think, is what we'd really like to see.
Yeah. Also, to add on top of that, from what it looks like at first glance, it looks like they're definitely doing the quadrifolio version, simply because of that rear spoiler. If you look at it from this angle I'm showing Reed now, you can kind of see it has a little dip in the middle, and then it flares up at the edges.
Yeah, I have a back version.
Yeah.
Looks good.
And it looks really good. They're going with same size wheels all around, which is proper.
Matchbox does it.
Yep, exactly. They got the front intakes, which looks really good. Looking at the photos of the slideshow, because it's actually kind of interesting, a little cheat to the Matchbox line is when you go back and look for the previous year, which we usually do before we look, usually the photos they use are a pretty good idea of what they're going to look like when they're done.
Yeah, and it's in that beautiful red in the photo.
Yep.
Super well done.
Yes.
I cannot wait for it. I cannot wait to see it.
The Julia looks super good, but there were some other fantastic models.
So here's the thing that
nowhere.
kills me. The Julia for me is going to be the talk of the town. I know what the talk of the town is going to be, and marketing-wise, beautiful move by Matchbox to produce this car, just because it's going to generate so much hype. And it already is. It's every Matchbox post I've seen tonight has been like, oh, like this has been the first car in everyone's picture. But like, it's a smart move. I'm happy they're making it. I think they're going to do a great job with the car. But of course, it is the Bugatti Divo.
What a car, man! When it was announced in the slideshow, like in the presentation, my jaw dropped. I was filming it, so you can't see my jaw drop, but it was. I was not expecting it. It was like a heart attack.
Well,
that's what it's like.
I've always said that Matchbox should make the Bugatti, just a Bugatti or something that would generate a lot of hype, just because they need that hype. And it's kind of a double-edged sword with that hype, because on the one hand, like I said, like Matchbox, they have a lot of momentum right now. They're in stores a lot. Their products are in stores a lot more. They're moving a lot better than they have in the past, and they're starting to generate some buzz. People who I've never seen post about Matchbox are now posting about it on Instagram, which I think is really interesting. But at the same time, you generate all this hype, which is super cool, but it's also about one car. So for me, as someone who appreciates the brand and loves to talk about everything Matchbox does and everything they encompass and all the variety of cars they have to produce, to see all this talk that's going to get focused on the Divo is kind of mildly frustrating to me. But at the same time, it was out of left field. This is something that this is a Hot Wheels model. This is Hot Wheels, hypercar, supercar. This is what they produce. Matchbox is now tackling the challenge. I'm excited to see where this goes, because they haven't done really, after the Gallardo, I can't think of a big supercar. Maybe the i8, but that's even kind of more
mainstream.
Like they haven't tackled a huge hypercar sports car. They haven't done McLarens. Ferrari's been gone for years. Their last Lamborghini was the LM002. So like,
yeah. Well, and another thing that we kind of talked about earlier too, before we started this, was models that will bring other collectors to the pegs.
Exactly.
The Matchbox,
and that's why I like it so much, and
yeah.
I also hate it so much.
The Matchbox people, they're always going to buy everything, but you have to get new people into the brand, because if Matchbox wants to expand their brand, get more models in the line, get more new models, things like that, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get new faces in the brand.
Exactly.
And the best way you can do that is getting cars that will make people say, whoa, you're taking Hot Wheels cars, and the Divo is a perfect example of that. And one other thing to add to that, if you look at the model that they used actually in the display case, the wheels they used were the Hot Wheels
wheels. Yep.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels wheels on it.
So if you guys don't believe us that this was a Hot Wheels E, this is like a Hot Wheels
It's got
model.
Hot Wheels wheels on it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, as collectors, we love to complain, but ultimately when it comes down to it, we're a part of the demographic, but ultimately, in the end, if you're going to be a die-cast manufacturer, you have to be able to sell to kids. You have to be able to sell to the younger generation, because they're toy cars, and kids are going to buy toy cars, right? They're toys. And the Bugatti Divo is, if I've learned one thing from YouTube, it's that younger kids, that 8 to 13-year-old range, love supercars, love hypercars. It's how I got into collecting. I have since developed, I consider a better sense of taste in car culture. It's not completely, it's not perfect yet. I'm not as educated as I could be, but at the same time, I'm not where I was 4 years ago, where I only wanted Lamborghinis and Ferraris. I've now learned to appreciate other brands and histories of cars. But for Matchbox to be able to draw on these 8 and 13-year-old kids who are here for those supercars is a great idea, because I know they're going to come flocking to the plagues, which is super nice. So again, I think it's a great choice in terms of promoting popularity. I just hope it's not the only thing that drives conversation for Matchbox. I hope it doesn't kind of just become this elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and we're talking about like as we said, the Divo is going to be the biggest car that was announced, but it's not like there are other extremely cool cars that are not getting the hype. Like, I'm just going to say right now, the Banana Car. Banana Car is really cool. We haven't seen anything like that. We have the new Corvette C8.
Okay, let's stop. Let's not run through these. Let's talk about these one at a time.
We'll just run through the Banana Car. That's
Banana
fine.
Car real quick.
okay, Banana Car, can I tell a little history about that?
Yeah, sure.
So I actually followed this. This was a really interesting car. A couple months ago, Matchbox World Instagram, we saw a photo of the Matchbox team with the Banana Car. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird.
It's
like,
kind of weird.
Yeah,
Die-cast
cool.
manufacturer hanging out with a unique car.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And I'm a little bit nosy, so I like digging. And I dig to the Banana Guy's page. The guy who drives this thing all around the country. He posts photos of where he goes, and in one of the photos, he has a 3D print or resin of the Banana Car. And I was like, what is this? So it had to have been 3-4 months ago, they posted the Banana Car, and boom, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it. So it's actually pretty cool to get that early insight. So we've seen it in the resin. Now it's made it to the final version now, pretty much.
It's going to be all plastic by the looks of the photos.
Yeah, it's going to be all plastic on the
It's
top.
understandable with those curves.
Yeah, plastic on the top and metal on the bottom.
And see, this is one of those cars where it's cool once. I'll get a version just because it's unique, but I'm not going
Right.
to get multiple versions.
Yeah.
This is a one-time car for me. There's a model like this every year in the Matchbox lineup. 1 year it was the Tuk Tuk, one-time model for me. Cool, Tuk Tuk. I'll take one version. That's unique, but I'm not going to take every version. It was the Matchbox Swisher, which I know a lot of people hate. I think it's cool. I'll take one Swisher, but I'm not going to buy it after this. I'll take the one version I like. I'll take the new model so I can have the new model because it's unique and it's cool, but I'm not going to buy multiple versions. That's how this car is for me. It'll be a one-time buy, and I'll probably move on from it.
Sure. So that's pretty much all about the Banana Car. It's
Yeah.
going to be yellow, and
I remember
It's going to look like a banana.
after the it was like right after the convention last year, you texted the group chat saying, hey, if there were a Banana Car, what color would you want it? I don't know if you remember telling us that. but
I remember this conversation.
I remember we
do.
had a conversation about what color Banana Car would be. And I'm like, I totally forgot about it, but then when it was showed today, I'm like, wow, that's cool. So let's talk about the new Corvette.
Oh boy, because this was just revealed officially like
A couple
Yesterday.
days ago.
Yesterday.
It was revealed as we were driving to
Yeah.
Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Like I was in the car and like I looked out at my phone. I was like, oh my god! And I tapped John on the shoulder. I was like, dude,
Look at
new
this
Corvette.
Ferrari.
It's mid-engine. It looks
Wait.
like a McLaren. Oh my god! Because when I first saw it, I thought it was McLaren.
Yeah.
But yeah, this thing just got announced. So I don't actually. That would have been interesting if it hadn't been announced. I don't think Matchbox probably wouldn't have been able to show that they were doing as a new model if I had to guess.
yeah,
Because
so
Corvette, they're not gonna have their official reveal at this Matchbox.
they
thing.
were super secret. And,
Yeah.
Okay, so nerd Matchbox guy here. That's actually how they unveiled. I think it was the Viper at the time for Hot Wheels. The way people found out was that the Hot Wheels Viper got leaked, and that was before the real
I've heard
Viper
this
found
story.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people, but yeah. Anyway, interesting insight about this model. I also talked to Ep.2, that designer, about this one, and also the marketing guy Scott, and. From what I understand, so I asked him, I was like, how did you get to design the Corvette before it was out? And he said they did it solely based on leak photos, like the spy shots of the secret
Which
car.
is crazy.
Yeah. And
That's not an easy task.
no, it's incredibly hard. And the Matchbox model looks absolutely fantastic.
It looked pretty good. And again, it's 3D. And especially, they've got time. There can definitely be tweaks made.
And that's what
and
they're
now that they
planning.
have official photos out, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, if you're doing it off leaked photos, especially off test tracks and stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of those shots, like you go back and you look at them, they're from, like, drones that are over the Nürburgring.
Yeah.
And, like, they're shooting down on it. And they got these weird paints that make it super hard to find lines.
So
Speaking of which, I would love to see like a Nürburgring paint on this one sometime. Now, at a $1 price point, I doubt that's possible. But like just any diecast, I love the Nürburgring cars, especially the testing cars.
Yeah.
Seeing
'Cause
those paints
the-
are so unique. I think they're fun.
They're so weird and like abstract. You'll never see anything like it. And it's like a test car first of its kind, so it makes it so
yeah,
unique.
and they kind of have that paint, like the way it's designed. It doesn't look like any other 3D resin. It's got like multicolors going on. I'm trying to find the picture of it.
Yeah, Abe actually told me that they detailed it up to look like the prototype cars.
That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
I was asking him about it. I was like, yeah, what's up with it? He goes, oh, yeah, it was actually prototyped.
To look like
that.
Which you never see.
Which is super cool.
I've never seen a resin done up like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I talked to him. He said that it's not perfect, but now that they have the true files from GM, they'll be able to make it perfect. But holy moly, for them to be able to base a resin off of spy shots is very impressive.
The front looks good to me. The back right now, just what I'm looking off of, looks a little awkward. The wheel wells look a little off. But the front looks good, and they're going to have time to work it out.
Yes.
It's not in the final production stages or anything, so they've got time to figure things out.
Indeed.
The Matchbox team is very good at working with that. They produce some fantastic models.
Yeah, so let's move on to another model. Do you want to do the Caprice?
Oh, I am down with the Caprice. Let me find my photo of it so I can talk about it.
So the Caprice was really an odd thing. I did not see that one coming, but hey, Matchbox is good at that. Caprice it's a 90s model, like a 92, something like that, 94. Big Bodie car, and this is the police car. So as I
Matchbox is good for one new complete police car every year.
Yep.
This was it.
And you look at all the 90s videos, the Caprice is what they have. NYPD, all them.
Well, this is what I like. I love these 90s era police cars because just like all those like grainy videos of like police chases and stuff, they look like these cars, which is so much fun.
Totally.
They're kind of nostalgic, and this is totally that look from the photo they showed. But yeah, good for one police car every year. I think this is a great choice.
Yeah.
What was it last year? It was the
Plymouth Fury.
Yeah.
Plymouth Fury was from the 50s, and a good choice.
Yeah. So they've got some nice classic. They're now getting some 90s. They've got some modern stuff. Great police car choice.
Yeah.
Definitely going to collect this version. It looks fantastic.
So I guess we can go to the Mercedes, the orange Mercedes.
The orange...
That's the...
yeah.
Oh, gosh. I have it here.
Because there's a couple Mercedes right now
in this lineup. Yeah, there are, and we'll talk about that. It is the race car. It's the 1962 Mercedes-Benz 220 SE Rally.
For those of you guys who are listening and you have no idea what we're talking about, there's probably pictures on Instagram. I know you can find it on one of our pages, especially Ezra's page. His @ is pretty much the bottom of your screen. You can look at all these cars that we're talking about, and you can follow along there.
I totally think I whiffed on a photo of
Here
this
you go.
one.
I have it.
Yeah, just so I can... Yeah, so this is the race car. Yeah.
To give a little background while Rita's finding it, this piece is a really interesting collaboration piece with Mercedes. So they did this advertising campaign where they talked about how Mercedes about how Matchbox is a boy's toy, quote unquote, and how girls can't really play with them. It had like little girls saying, "Oh, I want the doll," and then they showed a video of this woman in 1962 winning a race in a Mercedes rally car.
Yeah, and she's like one of the first to ever do it.
Yes, and it's kind of an inspirational piece for young girls to be inspired for the future. And this piece is a replica of that. A really nice one at that.
Very cool. Very cool.
So, of course, the tooling itself is great to begin with, but the history is really what makes it.
Yeah, kind of having a replica race car, because we don't really see... Matchbox doesn't really do replicas of race cars as much. Like, Hot Wheels will team up with all these people, but Matchbox, for the most part, they'll have licensed decos, but they aren't, for the most part, replica. The closest I can think is of the Breaking Bad Cherokee, or what was it?
Oh,
Yeah, they did a while back. It wasn't officially the Breaking Bad car, but it was definitely a reference to that car, which is appropriate because Breaking Bad's in Albuquerque.
The Grand Wagoneer.
Yeah, the Wagoneer, that's what it was. A while back. So, like, just a nice little reference. I think, like, they don't really do these team-ups. So to do it, I was personally excited when they announced it because they announced it on their Instagram
Matchbox
a couple
World.
while back. Yeah, there were a bunch of photos of it, like, this is coming. So you kind of had an idea what was coming. So super cool to see it. And again, the Mercedes relationship with Matchbox is just, it is blossoming. It is becoming absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Their Mercedes diecast is just exploding. We had the great Mercedes set last year. The 6x6 is popping up literally everywhere. It's
everywhere.
been Toy Fair. It's been in 5-packs. It's been in special sets. It's been in Jurassic World. Like the
German exclusive.
Yep, the GLE Coupe is the same way. It's now in another 5-pack. It's coming out in that it was
blue.
showed tonight. It's shown blue. It's coming out in one of the.
And there's silver. There's brown.
Silver.
There's
brown.
gray.
Yeah, there's the Jurassic World version. It's everywhere. So their Mercedes line, the SLR McLaren is back. God bless. Looks amazing. We're getting it. We got it in a 5-pack this year.
The relationship is great.
Yeah, honestly. So, and we're getting tons of new. We got, I think it's 2 new Mercedes this year, correct? That they just announced.
Oh yeah, one of them was the newer AMG.
Yeah,
I forgot what.
But this one looks
specific
absolutely
one.
great. I'm very excited to get my hands on this one.
Yeah, and to move to the other AMG, as you mentioned it is the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT63S sedan.
The GT63.
I am very, very excited for this one because I love Forza as a video game. I mess around with Mercedes all the time. In Forza like this, so super excited for this.
I'm really excited to see what color they choose for it too, because they look good in any color.
So. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I wanted to move into that. So early in the presentation, Matchbox does a little bit of like line details.
You mentioned this.
Yeah, and I mentioned this while we were watching it. So I'm watching this presentation, and so they're talking about all the different collections, and they're moving to a new style called storytelling. So they're going to have MBX Highway, Countryside, City, things like that. And anyway, he's clicking through, and I'm looking at the cars, and I'm taking photos, and I take a picture, and I look. MBX Highway has a Mercedes GT63S sedan in like a silvery white.
Yeah, it's like in a nice white.
Yeah,
you're like
going around a corner on the highway, and I was like, and I lean over to Reed and John. I'm like, guys, look at this, and they move right past it, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be a new model, and sure enough, there it was. So I think it might be in a silvery white.
Yeah, and it looks like the picture they use. It's got a spoiler, and it's definitely in like a track testing version or a track version. The version they have for the resin looks a little more stock. There's no spoiler on it that I can see. Now things can always change, but I want them to keep it stock. I prefer they keep it that way.
And that's the Matchbox way.
You know, if they want to do a track version, give it to Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels will do the track version. Let Matchbox do it stock, and we can get so many great versions of it.
Speaking of Matchbox doing cars better, now several manufacturers have made the Lamborghini Centenario, as you know. We have Tomica. The Lamborghini Centenario on that one, it's weird for me. I think it's a little too skinny.
Well, the normal
Centenario.
Tomicas, there's the limited inches which look great.
Right.
But the normal Tomicas never quite look right. They have weird wheels.
You have the Hot Wheels one, which is the Roadster in silver.
It's not
We've discussed this on the last one, but the Matchbox one, we haven't seen the color for it yet.
We haven't seen it in a prototype stage.
But the car, just like with no paint on it, the body looks good.
The
resin, has the spoiler like out of it, and it looks.
The regular version looks fantastic. They've got the stance right. When I was looking at it, they kind of had the proportions right. The Hot Wheels version was too long. It just didn't look, and it was a Roadster, which I know we both dislike.
Not to mention the Matchbox one, the doors open.
Oh, that's very cool.
Oh, so that's the biggest thing, and that's actually a really interesting touch because so the scaling the proportions look better, as you guys mentioned, and also something to note: the i8 that they did was a really odd car because that's opening doors, but the whole windshield is metal.
Yeah.
And this one, the resin, while still super early production, probably not even close to what it's going to truly come to.
It's got some time.
There's no metal on the windshield. So we could really see something really, really great.
We could see a special car. Because, of course, Lamborghinis have those
just
incredible opening doors.
I'm going to be really curious to see what color they put it in.
Yeah, because I just want to see if they can correct the Hot Wheels mistake. It felt too long. It felt too bulky. It didn't look right.
Right.
So far, for what I've seen, it looks perfect. It looks like it should. Now, again, a lot can change, but I have high hopes for this car. I think it'd be great. It's in the moving parts line, which I think is fantastic. The moving parts line is blossoming. I just got the Tesla Model X at the convention. It looks amazing. I haven't gotten to take it out package yet. I will certainly when I get home.
When we say a car looks amazing, we mean it. Like, we don't say a car looks amazing because, like, oh yeah, 4 wheels looks.
It's a car.
It looks clean. It genuinely looks so good to like. It's something you look for at a Target specifically. You go to Target, like, hey, I want to find this.
Yeah, you're there to find it,
and you're there to like put it in your collection.
It's another one of those cars that's going to bring in outside collectors to the more premium series. Now, this isn't going to be their premium stuff. Right. This is just moving parts. But still, all of a sudden now you're going to have kids looking at the little more expensive Matchbox, which I think is a great idea.
Because moving parts cards are only $2 at retail.
Right. Yes.
They're not even that expensive.
They're $2, and they're they're worth it. I have bought some. Beautiful, awesome castings.
So, if you think about the mindset of like a parent buying cars with their child, they're not going to buy a $5 car. They're probably not even going to buy a $4 car, to be honest. However, $2, that's within reason. Parents can justify that. And a child going from buying the Hot Wheels Lamborghinis, which are all over, to seeing, oh, this Matchbox one, where I can actually raise those signature doors, that's a fantastic car to hook someone who's into, Lamborghinis of any age and say, this is what I want.
Right.
All right. Another car I want to move on to, the Aston Martin DBR1 Roadster. I stupidly called this I don't know. I was so excited. I called this a Jaguar earlier tonight, and I was having a conversation with people, and I kept referring to it as the Jaguar, and I felt like a total idiot because then someone goes, "What are you saying? Like, what Jaguar?" I was like, "Oh no,
it's an Aston Martin."
Oh no, it's an Aston Martin. Like, it hit me all in that moment. Anyways, the Aston Martin DBR1 1956, super cool car. I believe, I'm not for sure, I'm pretty sure Grand Tour did a feature on this car in its history. Was it the DBR1?
They might have, but I don't know. All of the old Roadsters.
I'd have to go back and watch. I'd have to go back and watch the episode to know specifically it was the DBR1.
But it's a nice looking car.
It looks so cool. I mean, just kind of those. We don't see a lot of vintage like racing cars like this, especially at the $1 price point. You can find premium versions from other nicer diecast brands, I'm sure. I've seen some, but like this, to see it at a $1 price point, I'm extremely excited for.
Yeah. So another car that I wanted to talk about in the basic range, because there's a lot to talk about in this, something that really caught my eye was the MG Rally car. So this has a really interesting story, one that I followed closely. So back in 2018, Matchbox said, oh, we're going to be doing a early 70s, 71, 72 MGB GT. And it was going to be a rally car and things like that. And halfway through the year, they said, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to be canceling that, and we're along with the Diamond T pickup. And they were going to be bringing out a new Jaguar and another car. It was the Ford Ranchero. So we thought it was long gone, too bad, so sad. Yeah, and it was all good, But then, tonight, one of the craziest surprises, it's back. And what really throws me for a loop, this is, something I really want to talk about. It's a new design, too, a completely fresh.
So they're not using any of what they used before.
It doesn't look like it, because the one they had before it looked like it was a little higher up, and it also had a roof rack. So now if you go to the one from this year, if you look in the case, it has the rally lights in the front, but that's it.
Huh. So it's not all rallied up.
Yeah, it's not rallied up. It has the rally lights, that's it. And that was a big surprise, because everyone thought, oh, we're just going to reuse that tooling, and it'll be back. But upon closer inspection, that's not the case.
Which is nice, because we've had a few rally takes the last couple of years on the Porsche 911, the Datsun 510. So not everything has to be rally. It's cool to do it sometimes, but also sometimes just keeping a normal car stock that we wouldn't see that we haven't seen before at this scale in a while. Very cool. Very nice. Not everything needs to be rally. The Line 11, the 510 makes sense. Hot Wheels have their basic versions. Hot Wheels doesn't have a basic version of this. Just give us a basic version. That's what most people want. If people want to make it rally, they'll have someone customize it for them.
Exactly. And Matchbox, they can do that, but I think also when they do just a nice stock car, it also is really sweet.
Yeah, it looks very, very, very good.
Matchbox is really good at making cars look super fresh and stock and like factory new, It looks good.
And I'll just correct one mistake I had a moment ago. The MG was announced in 2017. In 2018, it was told that it was going to be put on hold. And now in 2019, we are told it's revived, and it's in the resin state yet again.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's see. What else do we got going on?
So the next one that I thought maybe we should just touch on would probably have to be the, where is it? The Volkswagen Beetle. Just really, really
very
quick, just
nice.
for 1 minute.
I mean, the Beetle.
We haven't had a new Beetle.
I don't know if anybody really hates the Beetle. The Beetle's like one of those just kind of lovable cars. Everyone grew up playing Slugbug. At least I grew up playing it. I feel like everyone's played Slugbug at some point. And the Beetle, unfortunately, the kind of car has come to its end. The final production run of cars was just finished. That's
very interesting to me. That's why I want to touch upon it. They just announced the final version of it, the final run with like the baby blue, a month or two ago, and then Matchbox comes out and said, "Oh, we're going to be doing it." Matchbox usually does contemporary cars or they do old cars, but this is a really odd car where it looks like they were like, oh, we're going to do it, and then they canceled it.
Mm-hmm.
That's strange.
Yeah, it's very strange. I was not expecting it. It was probably one of the last cars I would have
Yeah,
guessed.
I was not expecting another Beetle because we've seen concepts, we've seen actual Beetles, we've seen our fair share of Beetles from Matchbox over the years. I can go back and find ones. I have one without a green and gray without window. Like I can find countless Beetles in my collection. There's one specifically I'm thinking of, just from over the years. But kind of cool. One last Beetle.
Before it goes away.
Before it's gone.
Yeah.
And then it'll just kind of be history.
Yep.
It's weird to think that the Beetle is such a modern car for us, but then someday when we're the old people at the convention, we'll be showing off like, this was the last Beetle ever produced, and Matchbox made it.
They'll be like, what?
They'll be like,
is
what
the
is
Beetle?
this? And like, especially the last couple years, the last year in general, we've seen a lot of, the Viper has met its end. The Corvette is mid-engine now. Like so much
The Audi
has
R8
started to change. The Audi R8 is coming to an end.
Audi TT is gone as well.
Audi TT is gone. Like all these cars that we grow up with are now like coming to their end. So it's like it's kind of weird. Like all of a sudden these cars that we grew up with and we find super sentimental are going to be kind of classics.
Yeah.
I don't know if some of these will be considered classics. I don't think the Beetle's going to be
Yeah.
a classic, but like the Audi R8, I think certainly will probably be considered in that realm in terms of just performance-wise. It was so well done that I think it'll be kind of put in that range. So all these classic cars are just kind of meeting their end.
So one other car that I want to touch upon, just a few more of the basic range cars, was the Jeep Gladiator.
I'm not happy about it. I'm not the biggest fan. I wasn't super thrilled to see it was in the line.
I was just kind of perplexed by it because a few years ago we got the Jeep pickup concept.
Concept.
Truck. Yeah, and concepts are. I'm not a big fan of concepts, but
it looked
cool.
real enough.
Yeah,
that I was like, okay, I could see this.
Yeah.
I have a couple versions.
This one is odd though because it's a true, genuine replica of the Gladiator, but it doesn't have the doors, it doesn't have the roof, which is the two big selling points. Yeah, it's the
which
two
is
selling
nice because
points.
otherwise it would just kind of feel because it's
It'd be the same.
No one makes it. It's weird for a diecast brand to go and have a 2018 version of a car and then produce the 2020 version of the car. There are two cars that get that treatment. It is the Mustang and it is the Camaro because they are the Mustang and the Camaro.
Yeah.
They are like the two best, like they're the two most infamous American cars of all time. So the difference here is their concept, but they freshened it up, they changed it a little bit. I've never been a big Gladiator fan, so I'm not super excited to see it back because I feel like I have mine, but I'll pick the new model. I don't know if I'll pick up any after that. It's not my cup of tea,
Yeah,
if I were to say.
Yeah, and I'm excited because this model's been in real life. The Jeep Gladiator has been like a big hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting truck, and to be honest, I am happy to see that they are finally bringing the right one because when Abe announced it a few years ago, the concept one that they're making, I was like, well, the Gladiator, the normal one's gonna be out. So why are you making this? But it's cool.
Now
to
we're
have
getting
there.
it.
Yeah.
If you want to talk Jeep, I'm more excited about the Renegade they announced.
Oh, the Renegade.
The Renegade looks
Yeah. So
very nice.
The Renegade's really interesting because it's already in metal and it's probably
It's gonna be one of the first models
one of
we
the first
see.
ones, probably A case or B case.
A case, because usually there's 2, 3, 4 models every year that are like they're all mocked up and ready to go. That's the banana car. The Jeep's that way.
The
I'm trying to think.
The Volkswagen Golf.
Yep, that one's there.
The
What was the other one?
220 SC Mercedes.
Yes.
The Rally Car Champion.
Yeah, because they were saying that was going to be a later release, but they fast-tracked it because they got ready with it sooner than they expected.
Yep.
But yeah, Jeep Renegade, it's pretty normal car. You'll see it on the road every year.
As
You
you were
compare it with the
talking-
Cherokee super nicely, so that's super sweet.
You were talking about the cases, but there's been a big update to the
Oh,
cases.
yeah, let's mention
So,
this real quick.
You guys
can
can
go
go
for
on.
it.
Okay, all right, I'll go for it.
I know Ezra has strong feelings. So.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, this is very interesting to me. I have a lot of details about it. I've been following it, kind of giving feedback. So, your normal Matchbox assortments. This is a little nerdy stuff here. Here we go. Your normal assortments are 24 cars and 12 cases. So that's one case a month, and you usually want every store to get them and all that. But there's been a running problem because the Matchbox line has now gone down to 100 models, which it was usually 125. And with 100 models, there really isn't enough cars to fill 12 cases. So they've now moved to a new segmentation and a whole new way of categorizing their cars and a new way to distribute them. Instead of having 12 cases per year, you're only going to be having 6. And instead of having a case per month, you're going to have a case every other month. So that means that you're going to have a lot less assortments, but there's one huge benefit, and that is that you will no longer be having carry forwards. And carry forwards are basically those cars that if you get it in one case, the following case you'll get it again, usually one more or sometimes even two more.
Yeah, I have 4 versions of some models from this year.
And that's where the problem lies for a lot of us, where Reed and I, we order the cases, so we're getting multiples of a lot of cars, but that's not the big problem. The big problem is when you go to the big box stores, Target, Walmart, etc., you start getting the situation where you're filling the pegs up with a ton of these cars and no one wants them.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're hoping by only having 6 assortments and having all fresh cars for each case, it'll help that problem a lot.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of helping clear the pegs, the licensed to unlicensed ratio this year is reported as 85 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
That's wild.
For a diecast,
It was like
for someone who's marketing has to put a lot of cars in stores and is at a $1 price point to make money
for kids.
to have 8, because obviously nicer brands can do all licensed. They can afford to do that because it's a higher price point. But a $1 price point where you're required to sell a lot of cars to be 85-15 is just absolutely insane. They were 60-40. They jumped straight to 85-15. I don't know. I mean, obviously, we all want it to be 100-0. That would be the dream.
But
that's unrealistic, though.
you gotta-
85-15, I would have said, was unrealistic a year ago.
You gotta hand it to Matchbox. You got the licensed castings, and then you got the unlicensed castings. Castings. You have 3 unlicensed castings from Matchbox. That's barely
in the
any.
new models, which
That's
is insane.
wild.
And they aren't. And they're
not bad looking
They're
either.
unlicensed castings. They're being very smart with and how they do them. Because let's see, they have the Matchbox motorcycle trailer.
Yes.
So that's interactive. That's one I'll buy because it's super dope to display cars with trailers, I think. And I know this is one people were asking for. They have the Matchbox Garbage Scout, which has a removable garbage can on the back, which, again, moving part, so that's going to make it more appealing to people.
And finally, it's going to be the driverless bus.
Yeah, the self-driving bus.
Self-driving bus. So this,
dope.
yeah, this is really interesting because from where I'm from, we have our driverless buses just like these. They're actually quite similar. And what they do is they pretty much will transport people around town, and this model is very much like that. And the key to these is making models that don't need to be licensed. And some people are like, oh, well, what do you mean by that? Well, it's cars that if you see them out and about, you're not going to know what the brand is anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like a driverless bus, I have no idea what the brand are on those, so you don't need the licensing. And the trailer, you don't need a license for that because there's no brand of trailers really. I mean, yeah, there are, but not really. The garbage truck, that's going to be an interesting one. That could go either way because they do have branded like Fords, but
that would be one that'd be nice if it's licensed, but at the same time,
it's all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
We can get away with 1 out of 25.
Yeah, 1 out of 25. We'll give it to you.
Yeah.
All right. Another big announcement on its way back from Matchbox, Convoy.
Yes.
We haven't seen this in a while.
For people who don't know, what is Convoy?
The Convoy line was sold from very, very mid to late 70s all the way up to the late 90s, and then they took a short hiatus, and they came back from about 2005 to 2012, and Convoys are a cab and a trailer, 18-wheelers, and they have all different sorts. From the 70s, you had box trailers, gas trailers, and then in the later years, you had car transporters.
Mm-hmm.
You had these really cool ones like tree trucks. You had like reels of cable, some really, really cool stuff.
So yeah, each truck and trailer has a car that comes with it, and there is one very big piece of news out of the Convoy. There's some very cool groups coming, but the big piece is the Tesla truck is coming.
Right, because the Tesla truck was
Tesla
announced.
Tesla released its all-electric semi-truck, which is like kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
What it must have taken to build that. That's a feat of engineering on its own that I can't even fathom just how difficult that would be. So we've got the Tesla truck coming. People, this was one of, I think, the coolest pieces of news. I think just anybody in general will be, as a diecast collector, should be excited about this because we've never seen this produced before. This is the first time we're really going to get to see it in diecast, and it looks like I think it's coming with the Model S. Who knows if that'll hold up, but it's going to come with a Tesla of some sort. I don't care if it comes with the Tesla. I just want the truck, the cab. That is absolutely dope.
Trucks look really cool.
Exactly. And speaking of trucks, also another thing that's coming is the, what is it? I'm trying to remember the actual brand name.
Skyjacker?
No, the Western Star, the 18-wheeler cab.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be a regular mainline. And this is really interesting because Matchbox had a few over the years.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking Convoy still.
Sorry. It's kind of going along with it. So the Western Star is going to be a mainline $1 car, but it's an 18-wheeler cab. And I'm pretty sure you can actually use those
Which is super nice because
Convoys.
I've started collecting in 2015. So I've never been around when Convoy was in stores. And they've produced, they have this one Ford, I can't remember the exact name. Ford Cargo. They've produced it for years.
Yeah.
And you get it, and it's just the cab, and it feels useless, and it has the area to hook something up to it, but you can't. So now all of a sudden, you're going to be able to mix and match like your trailers and stuff, which I think is super dope. They're getting licensed trailers. They got the Billboard trailer for Skyjacker, so they're getting licensed brands on those.
Yep.
I think if you get licensed brands on those are going to be super dope. They've got interactive ones that they look like they've got like a wood, like a lumber one got some tree like some logs on it, and you can have the car that comes with it can pick it up and stuff, like all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
The other one I'm excited for, what's the name on it? I'm trying to see if I can, the Matchbox Auto Transport Trailer, which is their car carrier.
Yes.
So you can put multiple Matchbox up along this car carrier, which I think is going to actually be super dope.
Well, and the interesting thing,
because I know
too,
they're bringing that one back, right? That one's been around, yeah.
Yes. So the interesting thing to add on to that, too, is that the Convoys never came with cars before. They always were just a truck and a trailer, that's it. But now, it looks like they're going to be including a car with it, which adds a lot of value to them. That's a $1 value right there.
Play value especially, because some of them are moving parts that can lift up the actual stuff on the truck.
Yep. So, for example, the generic Matchbox cab over with the auto transport trailer is coming with the mini Countryman. That's going to be a great value because you're going to be able to start with one car to put on your 3-car trailer.
Mm-hmm.
For example, and some other things like that. The Tesla rig, the Tesla box and cab trailer, that's going to come with the Tesla Model S, so on and so forth.
The Ford Cargo is actually one of the...
Yeah, it's one of those.
Thank God.
And also the Lone Star cab, that's an older one that they're bringing back. And also the one that I don't know if you caught, the one with the Nissan Junior, that's the Western Star.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to take the Western Star and use them. So that's really cool.
Super fun. I won't buy all of them probably. I'm not big time on being completionist on sets. There are certain things and this won't be one of them. But I definitely can see myself buying. I think there's 3 of these I could see myself buying out of the 8. Which I probably will end up buying more because I'll probably want to mix and match them. I'll probably get bored of just having 3. But just honestly, I'm excited to see these back. I think they got high potential. I'm curious to see how they sell. I hope they do well. So they haven't, all their new series they introduced last year didn't seem to miss. I thought the rear working rigs were going to miss. And at first they kind of did at my Walmart, but they've started to sell.
Hit.
So
they hit hard. Yeah. And so we'll be seeing Convoys, one mix in the spring, one mix in the fall.
Which is appropriate.
Yep. That's
see how they sell?
Yeah.
Which is nice. Getting all these different series from Matchbox, I'm super excited about.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that was announced at the dinner.
Is there anything else big?
No, I think that
we want to talk about.
I think that was it.
Just
that was
main lines and stuff.
Lots of cool cars. So that was pretty cool. I had a good time. Ate some good food. Met up with some cool people.
Any parting thoughts? Anyone wants to say on the convention? Oh, okay. Actually, I have something fun. Matchbox said they have something really big on the way, but they can't tell us till Monday.
And that's like 2
Ezra,
days.
You don't happen to know what it is?
No, I don't.
No.
So,
does anybody have any?
I mean, by the time this comes out, we'll know.
But we'll see.
We have no idea.
We have some guesses. They kept teasing it.
Let's make some guesses. Do you think it's a partnership of some sort?
I think it's got to be someone sponsored them, or they got some big partnership.
Do you think it was a manufacturer, or do you think it was some other brand?
Well, they kept following it up with the Mercedes information.
Maybe it's like a collab. Maybe there's like more to the story.
Because they were talking about race cars drivers. So I think it kind of leans in that general direction. Maybe they're producing because what they said is they have one set that they can't reveal. Yeah. And I feel like it's something. So my guess is there might be like a racing series, like
something to do with racing.
Some series they partnered with, or some manufacturer they're partnered with, and they've got maybe they've got a bunch of championship rally cars that have went over the years that they're going to produce,
smart.
which would be so sick.
But I think since they're holding off until Monday, maybe it's a big release with some other company that's also gonna release something
obviously,
Hot Wheels has done the Robo Racer, Robo Car. They've done collaborations with Supreme. They've done all these companies, so I think it's gonna be a
obviously the
that,
company wants
not
them to
a
hold
manufacturer.
off because if Matchbox was to announce it, they'd probably do it tonight. Here,
Yeah.
this is their big event. This is where they drop it. But for whatever reason, their partner wants them to wait 2 more days.
Yep.
They can't do it Saturday because
Yeah.
I guess there's something about.
We'll figure it out.
I'm excited to see what it is. They've hyped it up. I really hope it's not disappointing.
I have faith in
Matchbox has not let me down
Matchbox
a lot.
and Abe. I don't think we've mentioned
the
who
last year or
Abe
so.
is. We've
Oh.
mentioned Abe a couple times, but I've mentioned him in my videos and streams and stuff, but he's the head designer at Matchbox. Am
Yes.
I correct there?
Yes, he is.
And we talk with him a lot whenever we're here.
If
and
you follow the Matchbox
world
account,
on
he
Instagram.
runs it. He's the one that drops all the leaks.
Yeah.
He's in charge of decide, or not completely, but for the most part, he dictates what goes in the lineup.
Yep.
He helps design everything. He is as involved in Matchbox as you can be,
Oh, yeah.
and the amount of work he has to do is incredible.
And he does it well.
He's single-handedly helped bring Matchbox back from the brink of basically
Death.
death. Yeah, Matchbox was in a real bad place
Yeah.
when I started collecting.
Yeah, but
And in the 4 years 4 or 5, it's almost 5. 4 years I've been collecting, just incredible what he's done.
yeah, but Abe has now. He does all of the casting development and a lot of deco. He gets a little help from people along the way, but he does a lot of it.
Yeah, unreal, especially with the number of lines and the number of cars he
Oh,
now
yeah.
has to balance. Just unbelievable what he's done. Just
Yeah.
real underdog story.
It'd be awesome
Bringing
to get
back
him on the podcast one day.
Oh,
That'd be really cool.
that'd be sweet.
So.
Yeah.
Ezra, I don't think we've talked a lot
Oh,
about you because
yes.
you are our
you
guest.
are our
on
guest.
the
We
show.
do have some questions for
And-
you. You gave us a little bit about your collection, what you do.
Yeah.
Is there a particular piece you have that's your favorite, or that you particularly like, or you think is important that you want to talk about?
Well, one of my favorite things to do is every year at the Matchbox Gathering, I always like to come home with at least one prototype from the auction.
Yes.
I can buy prototypes all along the way, but I always like to help out the charity, Rachel's Courtyard. So some of the prototypes I've bought along the way, I have a Ford Transit Connect prototype, which I got last year. I have a BMW X5. Those are some of my prototypes that I've gotten over the years. Like I said, this is my 4th gathering, so I have 4 or 5 from the auction. I just bought a few this year. One of my favorite sets of all time is the Matchbox BMW dealer set. It was an 8-car set from the early 2000s, and it had some unique castings.
You just completed that this year, correct?
Yes, I did.
remember you seeing posts about that.
Yes,
No.
I've
got
looked to start getting it, but the eBay prices, man, make
Yeah.
it so difficult.
Yeah, they're very hard to find.
Because to chip away at it would just be so frustrating.
Yeah.
Let me tell the audience, for those of you who don't know what prototypes are. So basically, at the convention, that's where Reed and I both basically find most of
Well, it's the
them.
best. You're not gonna. Let's put it this way: you're not gonna walk into a store and find a prototype.
Right,
That's not gonna
prototypes,
happen.
they are sort of like first drafts of a car or cars that have no paint on them, and they're sort of just like test castings to see whether
Yeah,
or not
there's- and
like
there's-
the castings or paint or wheel
Yeah,
choice
you've
and all
got
that stuff.
different stages. You've got the ones that are the resins, which are like the 3D prints. You've got the ones which are like just kind of the casting. It's not really painted. It's got random wheels on it. It's not what the casting is actually going to look like. It's just so they can see it in hand and how it turns out. You've got the one where it's almost finished. It's kind of they receive Hot Wheels and Matchbox to receive final examples where they can make sure the paint or the wheels, everything looks right. If it's not right, they'll make a change to it. And sometimes you'll get rare prototypes out of that.
Right. There are not many prototypes out there.
Yeah, you're only gonna find them on eBay and on.
They're going to be extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you find a prototype on eBay and it's not expensive, it's not a real prototype.
more than
for
likely.
sure.
Just be very careful. You want to make sure that they're legit. But
Yeah.
anyways, prototypes are super cool.
Yeah, got
Super
any
fun.
other questions? Or anything?
Talk about your M3. You
You
don't just collect diecast cars.
Yes.
You have a very nice M3 that you love to post about on your Instagram.
Yes,
So
thank
go
you.
follow him, Ezra B-Man1 on Instagram. You can check out his M3.
It's a 2004 E46 M3. It's the very popular generation. It's 6-speed manual. It's a convertible, and I like modifying that. I've done a lot of race parts too and things like that. I'm a big BMW guy. It's actually kind of funny. I used to be like crazy into Volvos and things like that, Swedish metal. But I don't know. I just kind of, when I started getting my license and real cars and things like that, I just said this is the car for me. A lot of fun, rear-wheel drive, great car. And real cars are a part of the hobby too. When you get older, you start to do those too. So it's fun being able to collect the little ones and the big ones. Yep.
Yep, it's got some nice cars. We're all car people here.
Yeah, exactly.
So
some of us don't have a nice car. They were supposed to get a nice car, and then it broke, so they couldn't buy it from their grandpa. So they're stuck with their grandma's Honda CR-V, which is so fast. I've been in one drag race. I'm 1-0, so that's pretty dope.
There you go.
Yeah, I beat a Toyota Camry.
well, since
Camry.
we can fill in a couple more minutes at the end here. When we were driving up to Albuquerque on Friday, it was announced or leaked we had some super treasure hunts from the 2019 line announced. What do you guys think? We have the Ford GT40 with the Golf livery, and then we have the Honda CRX. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
So I'm a big fan of the Ford GT40. I really like that. If you actually look, Matchbox did in the
They've made a GT40.
Yeah.
Well, they have the unofficial Golf way back.
Yeah, in 05.
From 05.
And that's on the Ford GT.
And then they have the
what line
they have.
Was it the best of?
Best of. I
It
think
was the best
it's best
of.
of. Because there's like 3 that they were back-to-back years, and it's the same line, but they all have different names, so it's weird.
So I believe it's the best of. Don't quote
And
me on
that's
that.
officially Golf.
That's the Ford GT40 official.
And it's a matte finish.
Yes.
Right.
And now you have the Super Hot Wheels version, which will be
And
really
they've done Golf 4G. They had the 4GT LM a couple years ago that they did. But this one, and they have the RLC version that they've done.
Of course.
This was just they've done the 2017 Ford GT as a super. They did the Indy 500 Golf as a super. This is one that I feel this has one of those kind of landmark supers written all over
definitely
it.
something I'm
Like,
gonna chase
it's
for.
you've got landmark supers over the years. The Ferrari 599XXs,
The Datsun 510.
the Datsun 510.
You could argue that the Audi.
The Audi, I think it's too soon to tell on the Audi. The Aventador, just because it's a Lamborghini, it's the first Lamborghini Super,
one of the first Lambos.
has the potential to kind of reach that status. The Honda S2000 is kind of up there.
Right, and
the Datsun 240 gets up there sometimes in price.
You don't know how valuable it's going to be because it's not even close to coming
you
out
don't know, but this has one of those just because people went crazy for the Indy 500
right.
Golf, and it was unlicensed. For an unlicensed Super, that's pretty rare.
Right, and for a Ford GT40, a very, very historical car to come
Especially
out with a very, very
partnered
historical
with
paint
Golf.
job.
That partnership in particular, you could talk about it for years.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be a good
see how
car.
that does. I think it's one of those that it's going to be just a huge super for I think ever. It's got that potential.
Yep. So there's one last thing I want to say before the podcast ends. Again, thank you, Ezra, for coming on the podcast. It was super fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And all that. Make sure you guys follow him at EzraBman1, like on the bottom of your screen with an @ symbol above it, or in front of it, not above it. What am I saying? I do want to preface this before we end the podcast. Matchbox came out with this survey that they want to learn about you guys and learn about what you collect, why you collect, and pretty much everything in between to learn about their audience and stuff. You can actually have a chance to win a Target gift card. So if you want to participate in the server, it's
$50 Target gift card.
$50. What did I say?
2 of them available.
Two of them. Double the odds.
So
you can use multiple emails.
So if you guys could please take some time out of your day, it won't take
10
long.
minutes.
Click the link
There's some
in the
weird
description.
questions. Warning.
Click the link in the description of the podcast, and I'll have a whole bunch of videos coming out with the link in it. So go ahead, click it. You won't be disappointed.
Make sure you say you're 18. You can't take it if you don't say you're 18.
Matchbox listens to pretty much all of them. So if you want to have any influence, maybe, on what Matchbox does in the future, make sure you do the survey.
Make your voice heard.
Yep. pretty much. So I think that is it for episode 2 of No Speed Limits. Thank you guys for listening. I really hope you enjoyed. We're going to do a whole bunch more of these. And you guys really liked the first episode. I've been getting a whole bunch of positive feedback. So thank you guys for
We
listening.
got a bunch of guests lined up. Woohoo!
Thank you, Ezra, for coming on.
No problem. Thank you.
And we will catch you guys when we can. All right. Thank you guys for
Adios.
listening. Bye-bye.